Words matter, we know that, but I'm not just talking about the words we say among our friends or family. When it comes to our nutrition, the words we say to ourselves can influence our food thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors in many ways. And my next guest says being mindful about the words we choose can lead to an overall more balanced and healthy lifestyle. Studio 5 Health Contributor Miki Eberhardt joins me to share 3 specific words to take out of our nutrition vocabulary today and 3 words we can use instead. Miki, I don't think we usually think about our vocabulary as a way to improve our health and nutrition, and this has kind of blown my mind already.
Right, but it matters, and just how you started it, words matter. And when we are more mindful with the words that we choose, we actually can have more constructive conversations around food, and that can improve our relationship with food.
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna be really fun. I'm excited to hear what these swaps are. So what's our first one?
Okay, so the first one, instead of using the word healthy, which seems pretty
we use
cut and dry,
all the time, right?
Swap that out for the word nourishing. And the reason is because the word healthy on its own is really quite loaded and limiting. Like there's no in between. It either is healthy or it's not healthy. But the reality is it's quite narrow and incomplete. And there is so much more that goes into it. If the guideline is to eat a wide variety of foods from lots of different food groups over the course of the day, there's no context. When I'm eating that food, what else is happening throughout the day that food you may think is unhealthy, but it could be a part of a great healthy diet.
Okay, do you have some more examples?
Yes, I have an example. So, Courtney, and you probably do too, because I know you run marathons, but back in the day, I was training for a century bike ride, 100 miles.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And I would keep Pop-Tarts in my back jersey pocket, okay? I'm a dietitian for 20 years. I'm not gonna be like, hey, everybody, get that Pop-Tart in for breakfast, right? But for the context of what it was quick energy. It was something easy I could hold in my hand and eat. It worked well with my digestive tract. So it was nourishing for the task at hand. But if I'm just going by healthy, not healthy, that feels like I made a poor choice. Right? So that part is important. And when you think about, it's not food, nutrition isn't just numbers and ingredients. It's so much more about the experience, about something being satisfying and it feels connective in other ways than just healthy, not healthy.
Well, that's why when you use the word nourishing, it can mean a lot of things.
Yes, a lot of things. And if you look at it from the whole scope of wellness, like if I'm nourishing my body, I can run the marathon, I can conceive, I can grow a human in my body. If I am nourishing my mind, I'm able to study for that test. If I'm nourishing my soul, I might be connecting to food from my childhood or a cultural heritage. And even spirit, right? If I'm breaking a spiritual fast with food, that can be nourishing my spirit. And so if we just break it down to healthy, not healthy, that feels so limiting with what the word nourishing can provide for us.
Yes, okay, I love this one, but this is fun. You've got a little game for us.
I have a little game. Okay, so Courtney, I want you to think of a food that you eat that you might not consider healthy.
This one feels easy, but cake?
Yes, right? Okay, and so describe what cake is that is that is unhealthy. What makes you think it's unhealthy?
Well, that's refined sugar, which, you just always hear to stay away from, right? It's usually just regular flour, like all-purpose or cake flour, which it's carbohydrate. There's butter, and then when you talk about the powdered sugar in the butter and the buttercream, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's considered unhealthy.
But what about cake to you is nourishing?
Oh, well, when you talk about nourishing the soul, right, with memories, so maybe it was my favorite flavor cake that I had growing up as a child or something my mom made, or I've reinvented recipes from my grandma's dessert box, right, and I made it into a cake, and so now all of a sudden it's connecting me to my grandma and to my mom's childhood and her favorite dessert at Christmas, and now this is a cake, and it's so much more meaningful, but also I just put in all that effort into making it, and then I get to share it with people, and so then you're nourishing the soul. It's just like, oh, I did this,
it's
right?
So true. And I love all of that because it shows how that impacts your relationship with food and others' relationship with food. And if we just boil it down to, I ate an unhealthy thing, darn it, you're losing all of that beauty in what you just described.
Yeah, and it feels like all of a sudden you start to punish yourself when you're like, I did this, you know, like I didn't get the healthy thing.
Exactly.
Right? And that punishment is
not necessary at all.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Tell me about the next word swap.
Okay. So the next word is, instead of using good or bad, which
we hear often,
leaning on this that we're just talking about.
Yeah.
Swapping it out for helpful or not helpful.
Oh, okay.
Or even just describing the food as it is. So good and bad are words that carry moral connotation to them, right?
Yeah.
And while there's ethical concerns around food and nutrition in lots of other ways, unless you specifically like stole the food or hurt the chef making the food, we don't need to have this moral value that is tied to the food itself. So part of that is when you do that, when you limit a food to saying, oh, that's bad, I shouldn't eat that, that really can influence the way that our behavior is around the food, right? Like if you say that cake is bad, right? And someone else, and you're offering them, and I'm thinking, oh, cake's bad, I shouldn't have it. Then all of a sudden I'm feeling like, how does that influence the amount of food that I'm going to eat? The feelings around it, do I feel shame instead of that beautiful, connective, nourishing experience? How much of that am I going to eat?
Yeah.
If I know cookies are bad and I'm not supposed to eat them because I've labeled them as bad, instead of just having 2 and enjoying them, I may have 3 more because tomorrow I'm not going to eat bad food, right? So that can affect our behaviors in what we choose to eat.
It sounds like there's a lot of unintentional consequences that happen when we use those labels.
Exactly.
And so by reframing them, maybe can get rid of those patterns that we've set for ourselves,
That's exactly right. And what's so interesting is even on the flip side, even if something we say, oh, this is good and healthy, we may not choose something that is labeled as good or healthy because we think that's probably not going to taste very good.
Yeah.
Like restaurants have great research on this when they have like the little section that's like healthy fare, skinny menu, that people choose those foods more when they're interspersed with the menu than when they're
just by themselves.
By themselves.
Okay,
because people think they're not going to taste
interesting.
good.
Now this last one,
Yes.
you're swapping should for could.
Right? So should is a code word for something that you think you should be doing, like that I am supposed to be doing, but I'm not, because if I had the choice, I would rather not do that, right?
Yeah.
So if we take the word like should comes from this feeling of like an expert or an authoritative person telling me the things that I should be doing.
Yeah.
Like, Courtney, you should eat more vegetables, right? But when we make that swap, like just listen how this sounds. What could you do to eat more vegetables? What vegetables could I eat? How could I prepare them to make them more palatable? That is a total different shift than you should eat more vegetables.
I love this for kids too. Oh my gosh, there's never enough time, Miki. I wish we always had like an hour with you. You have so much good information.
Thank you.
These are fantastic. We can follow along where for more?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Nutrition by Miki.
All right, we'll get more of the conversation there. Thank you so much for this mind shift change. Thanks.